Hello, hello, everyone. This is Sophie from the Office of the PACE Success Coaches, and today I'm going to be talking about test taking. This is going to be a guide to test preparation, test strategies, and then finally we're going to end with test anxiety. Why is test preparation so important? So test preparation is very important because many students may think that they're bad test takers, and this is really bad for their self-esteem, and this is really bad for their school performance. But in reality, they're just not properly prepared. Not being prepared can also lead to increased levels of test anxiety, which makes tests feel even harder. So, because test preparation is so important, I wanted to give you all some test prep strategies, kind of a little before the test checklist. So, number one, I think this is maybe the most important, probably not, but it's avoid students who will work you up. So if you have a friend who you know is just going to talk about how hard the test is going to be and talk about how they're going to fail and how it's just going to go poorly, avoid them completely. Don't talk to them about the test. Don't talk to them about the class. Instead, hang out with students who are going to encourage you and make you feel prepared and positive about the test. Number two is clarify the testing method. You can do this with your instructor days before the test and just simply ask like, hey, what type of questions are going to be on the test? Is it going to be multiple choice, essay? If you do this, you'll feel a lot more prepared and you'll know better how to study. Next, we have review your notes daily. A special tip is to review your notes for any questions that the instructor posed during class, because these are likely to appear on the test. Next, I have create answers to probable questions. This way, if you know something's going to be on the test, you know it's going to be asked a certain way, you can already memorize the answer and just have that ready to go. Next, we've all heard this, get a good night's sleep the night before, and then finally arrive to campus early on test day. In the right corner, I have a key tip. Instead of cramming and studying all of your notes the night before, study every day for 1 to 2 weeks before the test. Trust me, this will work wonders. You'll feel less stressed. You'll have more time the night before the test to get a good night's sleep and relax. And you're just more likely to do better if you study in increments rather than cramming. All right, so now it's time to pause and stop and think. You could write this in a journal. You could talk to your friend. You could even reach out to your PACE success coach and be like, hey, let's talk about this. The question is, how do you currently prepare for tests? And is it working for you? And I also, to follow that, I want to ask, what can you do better to prepare for tests? All right, so that was test prep. Now we are in the game. It is test taking. You are in the chair. This is how you can succeed during the test. So first I have mind up. As soon as you're allowed to begin the test, immediately write down formulas, facts, or specific dates that you're afraid you'll forget. This allows you to concentrate on the test rather than thinking like, oh my gosh, am I going to need this formula? Am I going to need this date? Who cares? You already have it written down. Focus on the test. Number two is survey the test. Look over the test to determine its length and which sections are worth the most points. Then decide how to budget your time. So if there's a section that's worth 90 points and the other section is worth 10, of course you're going to want to do the section that's worth more points first. Then we have the 2-pass method. This is a strategy to ensure you're earning as many points as possible by concentrating on the questions you'll most likely get credit for and not wasting time on questions that you'll likely get wrong. So it's called the 2-pass method. So the first pass, that's when you go through and answer only the questions you know. So if you don't know an answer, you skip the question and you move on. Then after you've done all the questions you know, the second pass is when you return to the difficult questions when you have extra time. And I love this method. I think everyone should be doing this. It's very helpful. Here are some more special tips. So number one, I'm going to start on the left. Eliminate wrong answers before trying to choose. That works for multiple choice questions. Next, I have, if a part of the answer is false, then the entire answer is false. So if you see something that's wrong, you can immediately eliminate that answer. In the middle, we have before writing an essay, sketch an outline. This is so you don't really just brain dump and write something that doesn't make sense. If you sketch an outline, you can stay on task and you can make sure that you write a coherent argument. We have in the bottom left, look for answer choices that are opposites of each other. One of these is likely the correct answer. This is just known. It's just a well-known fact. So it's a little I guess it's a little psychology trick you can kind of use on your professor, that if you see answer choices that are opposite each other, one of them is likely the correct answer. But this is not always the case, so be careful with that one. And then in the bottom right, avoid picking answers with absolutes. So every, all, totally, completely, only. So another stop and think, stop, pause, journal, call a friend, call your mom. What tips would you give friends for taking tests? What tips do you think you could utilize in the future and why? So now we're going to talk about test anxiety, which is something that a lot of people struggle with. So some of the causes of test anxiety, a lot of people think the cause of test anxiety might be that you don't know something or you're stupid, but no. Usually the causes of test anxiety are fear of failure, poor test history, high pressure, or perfectionism. So if you put a lot of pressure on yourself or you've done bad on a test before, you're more likely to be anxious about the next one. And then symptoms. So there's physical, emotional, and behavioral symptoms. So some physical symptoms that people probably can relate to anxiety are headache, nausea, sweating, shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat. In very serious cases, testing anxiety can also cause panic attacks. For emotional, we have feelings of stress, fear, helplessness, disappointment. And then for behavioral and cognitive, testing anxiety can actually make it more difficult to concentrate. And it can also actually cause people to procrastinate, which is really interesting. So now I have some test anxiety tips. Number one is be prepared. So if you study and you know your stuff, you're much likely to do better on the test. Number two is sleep. I've mentioned this before, but it really is important to get good night's sleep before the test. Number three is read the test carefully. This can help you feel ensured that you're not going to make any silly mistakes. Next, we have practice deep breathing and meditation before the test. So it could be something as simple as when the professor is handing out tests, you can take deep breaths. Next, I have think positive thoughts and some examples of this. So let's say you don't know a question. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm so stupid, I didn't study enough, you could think, it's okay if I can't answer this question. I can answer another question instead. Then we have talk to your professor. So if you know you're an anxious test taker and tests aren't your thing, maybe at the beginning of the semester, go talk to your professor and be like, I just wanted to let you know. Are there any resources you have that I could access? Can you help me study before the test? Or maybe even trying to get a different testing environment for yourself. Some other things that are really important when taking tests is focus on the present moment so you stay grounded. Another one is to keep realistic expectations. Oftentimes, it's not realistic to expect a 100% on a test. Be okay with doing well, not perfectly. And then finally, stay focused on the current task, which is to complete the test. And don't focus on how you think it relates to your self-value. Even if you fail a test, you're still a wonderful, full human being. And that is the end. So reach out to your PACE Success coach for more resources, or if you just want to talk about it, that's what they're here for. They really want to talk to you. So please reach out. Thank you so much. Bye.